Content marketing focuses on creating, distributing valuable, relevant, consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately to drive profitable customer interaction. Think about why this would make sense as opposed to what would make sense is because the why defines the what, not the other way around. If you start with trying to do something on a budget, you've already limited your purpose. If you start with your purpose and then say, this is my budget, you'll find the thing that works best for you. There's three basic ways or three kind of things that you'd want to build if you're trying to build a community as a brand. You either try to build authority, or try to build affinity, or try to build equity. Now, each one of those has a different implication for the type of content that you put out, and the story that you tell and how you tell it. So authority, affinity, and equity work in the following way. On authority, what you want to do is look at either education and information, so trying to empower your audience through the insight that you give and the content that you create. Affinity is the second one. This mainly depends on entertainment. So this is really looking at either creating content around activity, that's sports. Culture is another one, so a lot of music and arts, and the emotional side of things. All of this is audience-centric. None of this has to do with the brand. And then, of course, the last thing is around equity, helping them create their own ways of either celebrating each other, empowering each other, and then building from there. In terms of the why, here's the how to the why. Always audience first. So know thy customer is the first bit, yeah? Try and figure out that motivation, the insight where they are, get them right. Second thing, you're not your customer. Just by default, you're not your customer. The main thing you need to look at is, do you have reliable data? Are you monitoring it correctly? Is this something that my actual audience cares about? And build from there. The second thing to kind of keep in mind when you're focusing on your why is compelling stories. You want something that has human connection. Please remember that whatever you're doing, even if it's B2B, you're dealing with a person. You always have to remember that sometimes it's not about reaching the person, it's about connecting with that person. If you ever see those brands where you really like their content because they're quirky or they're funny or they're interesting or they're this or they're that, a lot of times it's because they genuinely are. You can't fake authenticity. Data-driven is important. Data is important in two ways. One, you need to have as much, there's access now. There's a lot more access, and I think the barrier to entry to accessing it is a little bit lower. But then two, being able to interpret it and process it is now a skill that's kind of mandatory. Choose your KPIs, not vanity metrics. This one is a little bit more on the technical side, but look at the numbers that actually indicate growth, not the numbers that are the best for presentations. The last thing, which I think helps really just harnessing that why, is your collaborations. Pick your partners very wisely. Really take the time to just use your full maximum attention to pick who you work with. I love the brands that don't just go and get someone to dance to a specific piece of music that you've already created, but to actually talk to them and say, how do we connect with this dancing community? This is why I say focus on why, because the why, if you really narrow down on it, will tell you what audience you want to look at. You don't want to deal with someone because they're famous. You want to deal with someone because they connect with the people you want to connect with.